Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market, here with 5 cards from Theros Beyond Death, which I think are seeing more play than their price reflects. So one thing you can do when a set is released is look at the price of particular cards, and then look at the amount they see play in their various formats, and see if that price actually reflects what it should be. There are always times where a card will be overhyped or underhyped, and in this particular video we're going to look at cards that I think are lagging behind. Not necessarily a buy, because as you can see, Theros is still incredibly overpriced, has a lot to come down to earth. The total value of Theros should come down about the 2 to 250 range before otherwise it's just worthwhile to crack boxes and actually sell singles, and the mass box overs are going to do so until that price point does. So there are going to be cards that give on price, the majority of them, but there tends to be some sleepers that for whatever reason their price is a lot lower than what it should be. Now, I have been on an arena binge in the Diamond and Mythic rankings, so I've been seeing a lot of cards in Standard. I've also looked at Pioneer and Modern. Not a lot of cards are actually seeing play in Modern from Theros Beyond Death, but it's still early. There are quite a few in Pioneer, and a lot of those cards in Pioneer have huge overlap with Standard. We did a video on the Market Monday about it, as well as a video on this channel about those cards. However, this particular video is just looking at 5 cards that I like the price point as. Again, I'm not saying you should necessarily buy into them because they are still a little bit high, but if they do go down, or if they continue to see a lot of dominance in their various decks, I think they could be good pickups. And this is all across the board. I think I'm going to represent all the formats. So first of all, let's start with Aux of Agonna. This card is now in the dredge list. So there are some dredge lists that are running red. There are other ones that are just going away from like the Aux of Agonna, but this card is absolutely busted with Stinkweed Imp. So if you get a bunch of cards in your graveyard, especially if you can find Aux of Agonna in the graveyard, you can escape it. It will trigger the prized amalgams, and you will draw 3 cards. So very, very potent card. Is a 5/3. You get back all your prized amalgams. A lot of the dread lists are only running a couple of these in the list, but the Aux of Agonna is yeah, it's done its job, and actually it looks like it's hit this legacy deck as well as a one of in this legacy deck. So if it's strong enough for legacy, it's strong enough for modern, it will only be a matter of time before it hits Pioneer and Standard. I particularly do run the Aux in Standard. I think it's a great finisher in a red-black discard deck. Of course, it's not mainstream, it's just with my own brews, but I have been very impressed with the card. I think Pioneer Phoenix is also going to pick up the Aux of Agonna. So $7.50 if this card actually does hit multiples in a tier 1 or tier 2 deck, or at least something that has the longevity like Pioneer or Modern. I think this could be either a good hold or a good pickup. This card reminds me a lot of the Arclight Phoenix. It was underhyped, and then it actually, people are like, wow, this card's extremely good. It's Treasure Cruise with a body, and then it did hit a main tier 1 deck in multiple formats, and the card shot up in value. So Aux of Agonna is one that I'm watching. I like the price point right now as a pickup because I think that it's on par with the most powerful card in the set, or could be, top 10 of, or top 5 at least, and is a mythic. And I think this card's underrated based upon what it's already shown. Magic AIDS has already done a video about it. Usually when Magic AIDS does a video, it's just like when Seth from MG Goldfish does a video, it has that effect where it causes its own buyout because people want to build that deck. So go check his video out for him playing it in Dredge. And I think that the masses are going to follow suit and actually pick these cards up. All right, so the next one is Woestrider. Woestrider I want to compare to the Nightmare Shepherd. Woestrider sees a lot of play in both EDH and in Standard right now in the black-red sacrifice deck. I play it in my particular deck. I just did a deck tech video over at my channel for mono black sacrifice. It is a very good card in that deck with creating a 2-for-1 body as well as having the escape. So it's a card that can come back from the graveyard. It's another card that could see play in Pioneer Dredge as a way to, bring back the prized amalgams and actually bring back a go token, which is relevant every now and again in that if people are running Emerge with Dredge strategy. So Woestrider is very good with the scry, the sacrifice another creature scry to trigger off the sacrifice and black-red sacrifice. If we look down here, it is seeing play in a lot of different decks, not just Rakdos Aristocrats, but it looks like it's also in. This one also looks like it's Rakdos. So that's mainly where it's at. But what I like it tends to be a 4 of, and that's why I like to compare it to other cards that have seen play as a 4 of. Midnight Reaper has gone up at points in, so it did get all the way up to $3 and a little bit even higher at its height when it did start to see a lot more play. I think Midnight Reaper was in, it was in the guild kits too, so it's got that going against it. No, it wasn't. Okay. No, it wasn't in the guild kits, but Midnight Reaper feels very similar to it, so that's what I'm giving a little bit of caution for these particular cards, because, I mean, it probably is a $3 card, and what's your gain if you're going to invest in Woe Strider? If you invest at 2, it's going to be hard to actually buy list them for that in the long term. So, but I do think this card is very powerful. It's already proven itself. It's definitely Pioneer playable. It definitely could be like a modern playable card with escaping a lot better than people gave credit for. Escape is feeling like almost as powerful as Delve in a lot of ways, with being able to get these cards back and get a lot of value out of them. This particular one comes back as a 5/4. So I like it in the decks that I played in, and it definitely has seen a lot of standard play. And I've ran across this deck, or across this card a lot in my travels. All right, the next 3 are going to be white. And for whatever reason, white is incredibly undervalued in this set. And I think that white actually has the most cards that are seeing standard play right now. So the first one is Elspeth Conquers Death. This is a $1.50 card that is seeing play as much as a 4 of in various decks. The Esper and Mono or blue-white control decks have picked Elspeth Conquers Death up. A lot of the Ashiok Esper decks are running this card. The black-white enchantment deck is running this. There is various other decks that I have seen this. If you get any sort of planeswalker that has value or a creature you want to bring back, Elspeth Conqueror's deck is going in those decks. So I've run across this card a ton, and there you can see it, the Esper Heroes. There's a white. Let's check out this white list. So it looks like this is just in the sideboard of a Heliod aggro-based deck, which is very popular. But where I have seen it a lot is also in this black-white enchantments deck that is running Doom Foretold as a way to get back one of your finishers. There are a few cards that usually they run in those decks, like the White Cavalier or the Archon of Sun's Grace, which we'll talk about in a second. And so Elspeth Conquers Death is seeing, I would say, about the same amount of play that like the Eldritch Reborn was seeing in Dominaria, and that was an uncommon that was able to get up to a $1 mark. So I think this card is underrated at the moment, especially if you pick these up like Card Kingdom at the 79 cents. That seems pretty good because, again, this is probably like a $3 to $4 card with as much play as it's seeing, and it's really well positioned right now in the meta. The 2 is a little bit awkward with non-creature spells your opponent's costing 2 more on your turn to cast, but the 1 and 3 with exiling a permanent with converted mana cost 3 or greater, and then returning a creature or planeswalker back from the battlefield is exactly the 2-for-1 that you want out of this enchantment. So I think that it's proven itself already, and we're going to see a lot more decks running Elspeth Conquers Death in them. So speaking of Archons of Sun's Grace, this card I'm seeing everywhere. I'm seeing one of the flavors of Blue-Eye Control is an enchantment deck. So they're running the Flash Scry enchantment. They're running the like Banishing Lights. They're also running the one that goes and gets a planes and a 0/4 wall and then gains 2 life. That seems to be the perfect card to really stabilize in the format. And so Archon of Sun's Grace ends up being a pretty potent card in those decks. And then it does see play in the black-white enchantments deck, which I have been running across a ton of in the Diamond Mythic range on Arena. So it's probably going to bleed over into the price of cards. Again, I think this is a pretty good to use or store credit at Card Kingdom because this does still feel like a $3 to $4 card. What I also like about Archon of Sun's Grace is it's the most played white card out of for Theros according to EDH Rec. So this is seeing a lot of play in the various EDH. So this is very, very low for a card like this. This is again, only 8% of decks, but any sort of enchantment-based strategy in EDH is probably going to want to pick this up. It's a 3/4 life linker that spits out 2/2 Pegasus creature tokens. White ends up playing a lot of enchantments in EDH, and this card can get out of hand very quickly. So for that reason, with the double dipping factor of going in Commander and also going in Standard, I think this is a very undervalued card at the moment, especially at this price point at some of these vendors at the 50 cent, 79 cent mark. So again, that's where I would target most of these cards. Like, you don't want to be playing TCG market price for this. You definitely want to be paying a lot less for these particular cards. So that brings me to my number one, and this is another one I'm kind of eating my words about, which is Elspeth Sun's Nemesis. I am seeing this card everywhere in basically any deck that can run it, from anywhere from mono white weenies to the black-white enchantment deck that I was talking about, because they do a lot of self-milling, to like the Esper Hero deck. This is one of their finisher decks with Ashiok and Elspeth Sun's Champion, to blue-white control running it, and various in the main and the side. I've seen this in various so like Celestia or Bant builds. This card has been everywhere in Standard. So you can see some of them they've hit on MTGO, but as far as Arena is concerned, I've been seeing this card like crazy in the Mythic area. Any white deck, you're going to be expecting to see Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, especially if they have some sort of self-milling. The 3-mana instant speed, draw 3, discard an enchantment, or discard 2 cards, that is the perfect deck for cards like Elspeth Sun's Nemesis. The Escape really puts this card, makes it a viable card. At first, I was like, what scenario would you ever want this? And I kept playing up against it, where this can be gain 5 life and put 2/1/1s, and then recast it the next turn to do it all over again. And it's the perfect. This card is miserable for an aggro-based deck to actually push through when their graveyard's full from them self-milling. Even the cards, like I've mentioned before, like the Scry enchantment that will then sacrifice to Scry again, or the enchantment that puts out the 0/4 wall and then sack for 2. Those are all fodder for Elspeth Sun's Nemesis. We do have the lands that sacrifice themselves to go to the graveyard, the Fabled Passage or Evolving Wilds type cards. Those are other things that can fill the graveyard for Elspeth. Usually when I play against this, they cast Elspeth 3-4 times, no problem. And they don't even have to really try to do so. So that the Escape is perfect for those control-based decks. There are a few other cards that are still undervalued, like the Dream Strawler, Dream Crawler, Dream something. What's the Dream Trawler. This card too, I think, is reasonably priced. Most of those UI decks are running about 2 of, so 350 is the right mark for it. But other than that, most of the cards from Theros I still think are going to definitely come down to earth. This has been quite a lackluster set as far as like Pioneer Modern Legacy is concerned, but I do think there will be some sleepers in those formats as well. So keep your eyes peeled for cards that are seeing play in their various formats. This is always a way you can get ahead on MTG Finance. I mean, speculating is never good blind. You want to find as much resources and as much evidence as possible, and the best way to do that is to be involved, engaged in the game, and be looking at the trends and playing in the various formats. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. We'll have more content coming out this week with our Pirates Plunder's pick, as well as more set analysis and some of the format analysis. And we'll get back to our regular scheduled Rogue Roundup on Thursday. Thanks for watching.